I want to talk about in this video the novel Catcher in the Rye, but I'm very much aware that this is only going to be my interpretation, and it really is up to the reader to have their own reflections and emotions based on the book. And J.D. Salinger would probably hate it if someone was sitting there trying to say that they had all the right answers. This is very much my own interpretation, and even the author can't control all the different reactions people are going to have to a novel. It's something where everyone is going to have their own take, and this is just my take. The theme that I wanted to begin with was rebellion and nonconformity. I really think it encapsulates the character of Holden, how he doesn't fit in. And nonconformity, by the way, just means not following convention, not doing what the rest of society does. And even the way the novel begins is an aspect of rebellion. He says, if you really want to hear about this story, and that's in chapter 1, and all the numbers to the right, by the way, are the chapters that the quotes come from. So he says, if you really want to hear about it, most authors at least pretend to be happy to be telling you the story, but Holden seems to be like, I'm only telling you because you're kind of pestering me. And at the end of the novel, he even says, I don't think I should have said as much as I did say. Perhaps he doesn't even enjoy narrating this story. And that's quite a rare thing in a novel, that the narrator doesn't even want to narrate the story. So even that seems to me an aspect of rebellion. Another demonstration of rebelliousness and impulsivity is when he says, I don't even know what I was running for. In chapter 1, when he's running towards Mr. Spencer's house, I guess I just felt like it. As in the rest of the novel, he's doing things just on impulse. He's not fully thinking through their implications. And on the one hand, that leads him into all sorts of terrible situations. But on the other hand, perhaps it can help the reader identify with the character, because we don't always have a plan in our lives which we meticulously follow. Sometimes things just happen, and we just do things without thinking about it. And that's very much what Holden Caulfield does. He rebels against having a detailed plan for his life and his career, and sometimes he just does things just because he feels like it. On a deeper level, you could say he rebels against time itself. Have you noticed how the book seems to just flow and flow and flow? Like he barely gets any sleep, and he doesn't seem to go to bed at night and then wake up in the morning. He just carries on and on and on. It's almost like Holden is not conforming to morning and evening, day and night, or a 9 to 5 job, or studying like another student. He's rebelling even against the notion of you having to get sleep. He's doing things when he wants, as he wants. Another facet of his rebellion is the way he drinks and smokes. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's like you're a teenager. Isn't it illegal in America at the time to be drinking? Yet he does it and flirts with women 20 years older than him without thought of what he should be doing for someone his age. In terms of school, he rebels against writing even a simple essay. Do you remember that history essay he had to do on Egypt? He didn't clearly research it. He just wrote what he thought at the time. And hilariously, Mr. Spencer read it back to him, and he'd obviously done like zero thinking about it. He just wrote what he felt like, I guess you could say. And that links to his plans for his career. Unlike his dad, who seems to be a successful lawyer, he doesn't seem to have a set plan. When he speaks to Phoebe and she asks him, like, what do you want to do? He comes up with a notion that doesn't seem like a career plan, just like things that he enjoys doing. And that really sums up the way that, not just through the novel, but through life, he seems to be doing things on impulse rather than with a plan in mind. A motif, an object that you could say sums up his rebelliousness would be the red hunting hat that he often wears, which you can see down here, Exhibit A. I think that kind of makes him stand out and isolates him. It's as if he's gonna, when he puts it on, he's gonna consciously judge people and analyze them rather than be a part of what's going on. When he says this is a people shooting hat, I shoot people in this hat, he's not talking about actually shooting people. I reckon he's talking about judging them and having opinions on them, not joining in or following what they're doing, but rebelling against that and trying to deconstruct why they're doing it and the stories that they believe in. I think the red hunting hat as a symbol kind of encapsulates that notion of rebellion. Going back to language, when J.D. Salinger writes disciples with a italicized middle bit, the sipe, that strikes me as a kind of linguistic rebellion. Instead of just writing disciples, he's written it like disciples. It's the tone of voice that mimics Holden's kind of sarcastic view of the world. He's not just going to say things with the same reverence and respect as other people say things. He's going to say it in his own way. And on the issue of money, he doesn't pursue money as perhaps most people in New York are pursuing money at the time. He realizes, even though he's a teenager, that money might not necessarily make you happy. In fact, he says it always ends up making you blue, which is sad. He tries to give away as much as possible. He gives $10 to the nuns and regrets not having given more. Perhaps, surprisingly, this could be his most rebellious act, the act of giving away money instead of pursuing it. On the issue of school, he seeks someone else out when he's talking to Sally Hayes. He wants someone else to kind of dislike school as much as he does. And not just school, all that stuff. All those pretentious voices, like his former principal, who only hangs around with the posh parents. He hates it and wants someone else to hate it too. He defends the way he narrates the story by saying, lots of times you don't know what interests you most till you start talking about something that doesn't interest you most. He's not just going to follow a set plot and edit out all the digressions. He hated the time in school when the kid who was digressing from his story got disciplined and shouted at and mocked by his fellow pupils. He loves digressions. He feels that it's in the digressions that you learn most about what you like and what you don't like. Even in his episode where where the prostitute comes to his room, he could defend that by saying, well, I only realized that I hated that when she was in the room. It's almost his life philosophy to do things and only find out that he likes it or doesn't like it as he's doing them, rather than trying to plan it in advance. Having said all these aspects of rebellion, I think it's right to culminate the analysis by talking about the quote from Phoebe right towards the end of the novel in chapter 25. She actually says to him, "So shut up," and he reflects, that sounded worse than swearing. Caulfield is happy when he's rebelling and feels proud that he's not conforming. But when someone rebels against him, and perhaps that perception of Phoebe's innocence is altered, that's when he doesn't appreciate rebellion. So almost the lesson of rebellion that he learns at the end is that it's a very safe and comfortable thing to always be judging and criticizing others. But when someone rebels against you, especially someone he really cares about, that's when it can produce quite a bitter taste in his mouth.